Good afternoon and welcome to City Council's public hearing of Wednesday, January 19, 2011, regarding Bill 1262, a conditional use application for Park Place School Associates located at 309 South Braddock Avenue. Okay, do you have anything?
No, that's the title.
Okay. I just want to remind the council members that we're here as a judge and jury on this, so we can't let anyone know how we're voting either way until the vote comes. The council members that have joined us this morning is Councilman Dowd. This afternoon, where the day went pretty fast. Councilman Dowd, Councilman Burgess, Councilman Kraus, myself, Darlene Harris, and the others should be with us shortly. We have representatives from City Planning Department in attendance here, if you would please.
Here on behalf of the Director Ismail of City Planning. Before you is a resolution approving the reuse of an existing structure, a former apartment building, multiple family units as a school. The school would be K through elementary school for grades K through 3. This requires a conditional use in this particular zoning district, which is R2L residential 2-unit low density district. This application was filed by Schoolhouse Finance LLC on behalf of Park Place School Associates, which is the property owner, for use of the existing 3-story former Park Place school building as an elementary school, and it's located at 309 Braddock Avenue. The proposal includes the renovation of the building and the site for return use actually as a school building, which is how it was originally constructed, with landscaping, fencing, play area, parking, and accessibility improvements. The criteria for the review of this include residential compatibility standards, which was additional setback requirements, a traffic study that to be submitted with the application, parking and access to be provided in a way to protect children from external impacts of traffic, and also the Planning Commission, where this application was first reviewed, shall determine the use will not create detrimental impacts on surrounding properties. All of these requirements have been met. The total area of the site is about 31,000 square feet. Total floor area of the building is about 23,000 square feet. And if it's to be approved, the renovation is anticipated to be completed in August of 2011. A traffic study was completed, submitted with the application, and reviewed by a transportation planner and traffic engineer. The Planning Commission voted on December 7th, recommended unanimously to approve the application, and that included one condition of the approval, that all recommendations of the traffic report, the traffic study that was submitted with the application, be instituted by the school as agreed by the city's transportation planner and the city traffic engineer. So that is an overview of the application. You're going to be hearing more information on the application from representatives of the applicants themselves, unless you have any questions. That's all.
Thank you. Councilman Dowd.
Just a couple questions. So this is, you said K to 3?
Correct.
And this, it's my understanding it's a charter school, is that correct?
That's correct. This is from the part of the population of the currently existing Frick Environmental Charter School, which is located at the other end of Braddock, down South Braddock Avenue, and that will remain. So this is just for some of the grades. It's an expansion of that school at a different location.
So, and when the charter was approved by the district, they approved it as a K to 3 for this building, or?
That I can't answer that, so I would refer that question to the applicant.
Okay. I mean, the analysis was done, all of the analysis was done on the assumption that this is a K to 3 program in this particular facility, the Park Place facility.
That's correct.
So is that what they've been approved for, or they've been approved to be something else?
Oh, no, for their approval
from the school district, not from the zoning.
From the school district, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay. I'm not sure, but what I remember is that they have to have the building before they are approved by the school district. We have representatives also here, the applicant, representing those in favor. We usually give 5 minutes, but I understand there are 4 of you, so I will give you a total of 10 minutes.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. My name is Russell Mills, and I have the pleasure of representing the Environmental Charter School in this application. And, you know, it truly has been a pleasure. I do this kind of work, and I sat down with these folks a long time ago, 10 months ago, and I said we needed to work on a collaborative effort with the community and with the planning department and come up with something that's within the guidelines of the code and meets all of the conditions for approval, and also reach a consensus in the community. And I think that their efforts have just been tireless in the community regard, many, many meetings which they can detail for you at length. And then just in the team that we put together, and the folks that I will have speaking briefly today are John McCann, the president and principal of the school, and Dan Rothschild from Rothschild Doino Collective, and Jeff Campbell from his office. And then we'll have Cindy Jampool from Trans Associates. And they'll each go through the various components of, first, John, what the school's about, and then the architectural, and then traffic. So we appreciate your time very much, and we look forward to having your support in the approval. And I'd like to introduce John McCann.
This way. Very good afternoon. My name is John McCann. I'm indeed the principal of the Environmental Charter School. Just to give you a brief overview of that school to answer some of those questions. Indeed, the Environmental Charter School received its charter in 2008 from the school district. It is a K-8 charter, current operations at 829 Milton Street in the Regent Square section of town. We started operations in September 2008 with 240 students, K through 3. We're currently servicing 380 students, K through 5 in that current Regent Square facility. The school's adding a grade each year out to 8th grade, and this application represents our expansion process. The school's themed as an environmental school. That means to say that ecology, environmental, science, and technology content is integrated across the curriculum. It's our thinking that this unique curriculum and its design, it really utilizes the built and green environment. We're perfectly situated on the edge of the park there, that we're indeed moving to educate new citizens or green citizens here in Pittsburgh. It is a unique school. It is the only environmentally themed school in Western Pennsylvania. It has a heavy emphasis on character development and the sense of community. We do a lot of work with our students in our community, and I think you'll hear that today through public testimony. Our academic success is robust. Certainly, our students are performing in the mid to high 80% advanced and proficient at reading and mathematics. The Park Place school application represents the capacity needed for our expansion out to K-8. If the Park Place school is successful, if this application is successful, it will indeed house our K through 3 little ones with a population of 234. And we, as Russell alluded to, our school is committed to being a good environmental neighbor, and we really look forward to participating fully in the Park Place community. And I feel at this point we have done that, and we will continue that effort. And my belief is that that's part of the school's social responsibility and buried in its mission as well. And if I can turn behind me, raise your hand if you're here to support our school and moving forward today. That gives you an indication of how many folks we've got behind us. And I'd like to take the opportunity to thank all of those parents and community members and folks that have worked with us in supporting us through this very, very important public school mission. But with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dan Rothschild so he can talk about the architectural design aspects. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, John. My name is Daniel Rothschild. I'm president of Rothschild Doino Collaborative, and I too have been involved in a lot of community processes over my career, and this one has been exemplary in its attempt to reach out to the community and have multiple meetings. I have some visuals with me today, and what I'd like to do is pass them out to you so you can see them close up. The first visual is a location plan, as Mr. Mills explained. This school is just down the street from the current Frick Environmental Charter School. If you look at the photograph, the bottom left is the existing school, and the top left is the proposed school in Park Place. The white line going up and down the page is Braddock Avenue. So that's one of the reasons that this property was selected, was its adjacency to the existing school that will help parents in programming. The second page that I'd like to show you is a photograph of the building itself. This is a gorgeous building. It was built in 1903 as a school. And what's a pleasure is the condominium project that was done in the 80s very lightly touched the interior and the exterior of the school. In fact, on the exterior of the school, we have no plans other than to replace the windows. And on the inside, we're actually just converting the classrooms back to where they were. So the school is laid out as a school, and it will be put back like a school. The last visual that will show you is just a decorative site plan. And what we are planning is to erect an ornamental fence at the sidewalk around the school for safety, and to use the yards as a recreation area for the students. In the upper left-hand corner is an existing parking lot, and that will serve as the new parking lot, and it has the right number of spaces. At this point, in summary, I just want to say that the development will not create detrimental visual impacts. It will not create detrimental health and safety impacts. It will not create detrimental impacts on the future and potential development of parcels in the vicinity, and it will not create detrimental impacts on property values. At this point, I'd like to hand it over to Cindy Jampol, the traffic engineer.
Good afternoon. I'm Cynthia Jampol, a principal of Trans Associates Engineering Consultants, and we perform the traffic and parking parts of the evaluation of the project in concert with the scope as defined by the City Department of City Planning, and there's been an extensive review process with the City Transportation Planner as well as the City Traffic Engineer, and with the community and neighbors, and an extensive community coordination process to come up with a system of improvements. The study area is shown on that exact figure. We'll go on. I know it's going to be be a long afternoon. On to the next figure, which is the recommended improvements. Flip, please. Yeah, to the next one. In the meantime, just to let you know that as I show you what the recommended improvements are and how we're going to operate the school, these have been devised such that we will avoid creating detrimental transportation impacts, and also to avoid detrimental operational impacts, traffic management impacts, service and loading impacts, or other negative impacts to health, safety, and welfare and circulation in the area. I know this is small, but I will try to go through this with you. Physical location of the site, South Braddock Avenue, Brashear and Waverly. The school is located here. It is across the street from Shadyside Academy Junior School. Thank you. Okay. And we have also coordinated with Shadyside Academy so that the operation of the environmental charter school will not interfere with the transportation elements of the operation of Shadyside Academy. And that has involved a good deal of coordination between ECS and Shadyside. What we intend to do is to, first of all, create a school flasher school zone on Braddock Avenue, which does not presently exist and will be for the benefit essentially of both schools, and will be located in this charming yellow color shown on my drawing. And the school zone will also spread over onto Brashear and Waverly streets as well. School buses will perform their loading and unloading for the school along Braddock Avenue between Waverly and Brashear on the school side of the street. And at all other times, there will be no parking in front of the school. This will serve not only as a designated loading area, but also will improve sight distances from the side streets, which is a pre-existing problem in the neighborhood. Parental pickups and drop-offs will occur on the side streets as shown, with minor parking removals only along the frontage of our property during the basically during the school day with parking permitted at other times. We also are proposing, replacement of, repainting of existing crosswalks. A lot of that stuff has worn off and such to the betterment of the community, and installing crosswalks at the 2 intersections that lie farther away from Braddock Avenue, but abut the block in which the project is located. Parking, as Dan said, will be provided in the on-site parking lot and is sufficient to meet the requirements of the zoning code. Let me see. Can we flip this? Spoiled by PowerPoint, sorry. Okay, and just to further clarify the school loading zone, once again, here it is on the drawing. I'm sorry, the orientation is flipped, but the signal flashers will be installed, which will be provided by and installed by the school, and then turned over to the city following the Department of Public Works acceptance of the installation. And that's also accompanied by lots of signs as required by the MUTCD and Pennsylvania Code. I think that's really about it. That's the short summary of the program of improvements. If there are questions, I'd be happy to provide answers to those at a later time. But that's kind of it in a nutshell. We have also developed a transportation management plan, including appointment of a transportation coordinator who will provide an ongoing touchstone point for community members in the city to express concerns or questions, and to continue working with the community and neighbors for an effective and safe transportation plan around the school. There are a number of other conditions there in our report.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any questions?
In the remaining seconds we have, this was all, it seems...
There's no remaining seconds.
I thought we were still under it. We've had 8 community meetings, and it has really yielded the result that we have here today. And these folks have done a great job, and I wanted to thank them for that. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have a question. To someone? Question? Okay. Was this at one time a Pittsburgh public school?
That's correct. It was the public school.
I just wanted to understand legally, because I know that usually when one of the Pittsburgh public schools are sold, that is not to be used as a school. Has all of that been taken care of?
Yes, it has. That was not a condition of this sale, to my knowledge, and it was used as an apartment building, and it's been part of the approval process here with the planning department that it's in compliance with the code.
Okay, that's your understanding.
Yes, and that's been the direction of the planning department too.
Okay, has anyone looked into that? I just want to make sure that everything legal is done.
Maybe Susan could answer that.
I really can't add other than during our review and approval process, that issue was never raised. Under our code, it was an application that followed the same procedure as it would have been in the case of a public school or a public school expansion, and so there was no distinction, and I'm not aware of any condition that came to light during the review process for this particular application about how this particular property could be used.
Yeah, it wouldn't be from the ownership to the school, but it would have been something stipulated when the school sold it years ago.
To the original owner.
Right.
There is not a deed covenant requiring that, and there's nothing in the public record requiring that.
Thank you. Councilman Dow.
I can also speak at least to the original sale. I was not on the board at the time that the charter was approved. I think I was there for the first vote on the charter, but not the second vote. I did approve as a board member the sale of the Frick School building to the charter, and at that time I think we sold it, if I remember correctly, it was Imagine Schools. I don't think it was Schoolhouse, but I believe we sold it to Imagine School with the understanding that they would turn it into a charter school. And so there was an understanding as they were moving forward that the district would sell a building to a charter school. And I do believe there has been, there are other examples of the district making that change over time. So I don't think it's a uniform policy any longer.
Okay, yes, Councilman.
And I also sat on the review committee for the Pittsburgh Public Schools when this was first brought up, and they were aware of this building being turned into that, so they were aware of the use.
Okay, I just wanted to get the legal question out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and is there anyone representing the opposition in this case that would like to speak? You would also receive 10 minutes. Again, I will ask if there is anyone in opposition.
We're not opposing this. We were under comments.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, sometimes there is a representative that is in opposition, and we try to give the same amount of time as we do to those in favor. So if there is no one, we will move on now to testimony from the registered speakers. When you come up to the podium, please give your name and address for the record. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. If you did not register in advance, after we have exhausted the list, we will open it up and you will have 1 minute to speak. So if I can find my speakers list here. Beth Buzanik.
Good afternoon. My name is Beth Buzanik, and I'm at 6635 Wilkins Avenue in Pittsburgh. I'm here to speak in support of the Environmental Charter School at Frick Park. I'm a proud resident of the city of Pittsburgh, and I live in Squirrel Hill, Councilman Peduto's district. Good to see you here, Councilman. My husband and I have 4 children, 3 of whom currently attend ECS, and 1 of whom will be there in a few years. And for 2 years, when our oldest child reached school age, we left the city because we weren't satisfied with our options in public education. However, we closely followed the progress of ECS, and as soon as they were granted their charter, we moved back into the city just for this school, and we plan to stay as long as we have as choices as excellent as ECS for our children's education. I personally know several other ECS families who have done the same thing, and I know of even more who plan to move to the city so their children will have a greater chance of being able to attend ECS. Pittsburgh is a wonderful, beautiful, and exciting city. There are so many unique and amazing things going on here, and ECS is truly a jewel in the city's crown for 3 key reasons. Number 1, through their rigorous curriculum, they are poised to produce extremely capable and academically gifted young people. 2, through their wonderful program of character development, they are creating a culture where kindness, respect, and responsibility are the core values. It is normal to hear students at ECS having conversations about how to show integrity and what it means to have courage, even in kindergarten. These concepts are woven seamlessly into each lesson and task at ECS, and you can see them in action in the cafeteria and on the playground as well. It is character development that also makes ECS a good neighbor to whatever community they find themselves in. From neighborhood beautification to responsible parking to hosting community events, ECS is committed to being a respectful presence in their community. And number 3, finally, ECS is promoting a love of the environment and the city of Pittsburgh. Students are taught in classrooms that include streams, rivers, meadows, and fields. They are learning what it takes to preserve the amazing urban forests and parks that we are lucky enough to have here in Pittsburgh. They are also developing a deep passion for this city, and our students are proud of all the green innovations we have made. Something our city desperately needs is for young people to choose to stay in this region and be a part of what will continue to make Pittsburgh a viable urban area for generations. ECS is promoting Pittsburgh, its natural resources, and its unique opportunities for further study of the environment that could one day change the way people live all across the globe. Part of ECS's identity is Pittsburgh, and we will continue to work to make the community we exist in and the entire city proud of all the accomplishments of our students. Therefore, I strongly urge you to vote in favor of this change of use. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, and also for the record, we have Councilwoman Rudiak, Councilwoman Smith, and Councilman Peduto at the table. Our next speaker would be Joan Rabinowitz. Rabinowitz. I've never said it right.
Harris?
Yes.
Okay. My name's Joni Rabinowitz, and I live 4 blocks from the proposed expansion, and I'm here to give comments. I'm a member, in addition to living 4 blocks from the proposed expanded ECS, I'm also a member of the Greater Park Place Neighborhood Association Board, and I want to just say that the role of the board has been to facilitate communications among the different sides, and the board takes no position one way or the other on the expansion, as I don't either. Board hopes to have closer relations with the school as we go forward. I first want to thank Vicki Burgess for holding a community-wide meeting and being involved in the community discussions to hear from the residents of the neighborhood about their ideas about the proposed expansion. I also want to thank Principal John McCann and his team for putting together an excellent proposal and for working with the community to minimize objections and concerns raised by some of the neighbors. For the record, I do personally oppose charter schools in principle because they spend badly needed public school funds into institutions which do not operate under the eye of the public school board, because they tend to serve students who are among the most privileged, thereby creating a larger gap in academic achievement, and because they are not unionized. However, in this case, I do not oppose nor support the excellent efforts that ECS has made to provide a quality education for the students fortunate enough to participate in their school, and hopefully more students in the future. Also, Mr. McCann has assured me that he will support union drives, and at least one of the parents who is employed by a union has made it clear that she will look out for any union-breaking attempts which might occur in the future. However, I would like to assure that a broader base of children can have the opportunity to attend ECS. I therefore propose that ECS immediately establish, if they don't already have one, a diversity plan for students, staff, and board, beginning with an analysis of the zip codes of the current students. Such a plan would be looking towards a population whose gender, race, income level, and other demographic factors approximate that of the Pittsburgh population at large. Currently, the students, there are, I don't know what percentage of students that attend the school come from Woodland Hills and other school districts besides Pittsburgh, but I understand that now that there's a broad enough interest among Pittsburgh students, families, that they will be not having outside students any longer. The progress of this diversity plan should be considered next time ECS comes up for review of their current school plan at the board. And I also recommend that the board develop, in addition to a diversity plan, that they also invite a member of the community to serve on the board. As I said in my opening, I neither oppose nor support the expansion, but if council does approve it, I hope that my recommendations will be considered. Thank you.
Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett. Reed Frazier. Next speaker after Reed will be William Myers. Please state your name and address for the record.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the chance to speak on behalf of VCS. My name is Reed Frazier, 1100 Portland Street, 15206. Excuse me. I just want to speak on behalf of the school. My child is in first grade there. I have a 4-year-old who I hope to send in a couple years. I grew up in Pittsburgh. I grew up on Amber Street in 15206. So I saw the city in the 70s and 80s as a child in probably worse straits than it is now. And we lived in a neighborhood where a lot of people had moved away, East Liberty, from its sort of heyday that I had heard about as a child. And a lot of the reasons why people give for moving out of cities are lack of good public schools. I think we can all agree that we would like to see more good public schools, not less. This is a charter school. Charter schools are public schools. They're free to anybody who can get a spot, space pending. And I would just like to say that if we want to make Pittsburgh a good city for young families, we need more of these schools and not less. And I think that if the school follows all the regulations that are written into law, I don't see any reason why the expansion wouldn't go ahead. So I think that's all I have to say. I have a minute and a half left, but I'm sure there are other people who would like to talk. Thank you.
Thank you. William Myers, followed by Joseph Ross.
Dr. William Myers, 1024 East End Avenue. Appreciate your time. I am obviously in support of the school. Served for 30 years as the academic dean of Chicago Theological Seminary, moved to Pittsburgh to direct leadership education and accreditation at the center out near the airport that is responsible for doing that, and lived in Sewickley, and at the time of my retirement looked toward moving into the city. Wanted to live in a more interesting area than Sewickley, let me put it that way. And so we looked at Regent Square, and as we looked at Regent Square and the housing that was there, we noted that there was a vacant school sitting on the edge of Frick Park, which seemed to me, from my particular perspective, to indicate a lack of community support for something that, in all of the work that I've done over my years, is really essential. That is a thriving educational institution that works with children on behalf of the community. I was assured by the realtor that this was going to be addressed one way or the other as the charter school was making application. And as I came into the situation actually buying a home in the Regent Square area, I found that to be the case. And my granddaughter was one of the lucky people to become a member of the school. She is African American, and she is a very enthusiastic child. She also is someone for whom a values education, a character education, ranks high on my particular priorities. I think a classroom is a place where values get inspired by the mentor teachers who are working with the children. What better place to do it in terms of Frick Park, using Frick Park as part of the educational curriculum. And I saw that unfold in that particular kind of way. My daughter continues to be now in 4th grade and continues to be enthusiastic and continues to tell us stories about the different kinds of things that take place within the school that are totally positive. The only other thing that I would add to this is that I think this is a great plus for that community. I can't go anywhere, really, without mentioning my connection with the charter school through my granddaughter and having people say, I've heard of that. What's that about? That's the only environmental kind of direction that's taking place in the public school anywhere that they know, et cetera, et cetera. I see both of those things as tremendous assets. That the school that's being looked at now as part of an expansion, appropriately part of the contract from the beginning, that it too was a school that was turned into apartments and now is being rightfully, I would believe, reclaimed to allow this particularly great school to expand makes sense to me. And I think on those 2 points, values, education, and the life of the community, I would say that this school has been a tremendous, tremendous advantage to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph Ross, followed by Robert Gordman. Joseph Ross. Robert Gordman. No. Lisa Jordan.
Hello, my name is Lisa Jordan. I live at 7704 Waverly, which is less than a block from the school. I am a wife, a mother, an economist, a union activist, and an educator. And for all those reasons, and mostly because I live in Park Place community, I support this school. I lived in North Carolina 2 years ago, and I got offered a job in Pennsylvania. It was my dream job to be the director of education of the steelworkers. But I have a husband who's an attorney, and you can imagine a labor economist and attorney in negotiations for a move. So I held out a big bargaining chip, and my husband's an environmentalist. As soon as I told him about the school, he said maybe. I got in the car, I drove from North Carolina to Pittsburgh to put my name in the lottery the first day the lottery opened up for the school. I got somebody to give me a lease in the neighborhood, and the contingency on the lease was if I got in the school, I would move to Pittsburgh. If I didn't get in, my second place was we would move into Aspinwall. We got in the school, I moved to Park Place, and I bought the house next door. I love the Park Place community, but when I tell people I live there, often the first thing they say is, are things okay? And I've never had any problem, but I'm excited about the school being there to provide sort of a heart of the neighborhood, a place, as Joni says, we can go vote, a place where we can have our Girl Scout meetings, a place where other environmentalists in the community can come together. Currently they have the Sierra Club meeting. So I'm excited about building that soul there. As a mother, and I'll probably tear up, a year ago, my daughter couldn't read. She didn't know the alphabet. And we knew something was going on because she was out in the forest and she was digging up worms and she could tell me every part of the worm. She remembered everything from her science classes. And I sat down with Mr. McCann and we figured out my daughter's dyslexic. In a year, my second grader is reading on a third grade level because she's gotten private tutoring twice a week. She's gotten reading support, and I worked very closely with a woman from the intermediate unit who's told me that she hasn't seen that kind of support for a child anywhere else in Pittsburgh. And so my daughter is this amazing success story. And like Joni, oddly enough, I'm personally sort of opposed to charter schools. I and my husband debated this because I'm a union activist and I have the same issues. And I've made very clear to Mr. McCann that if the union teachers ever want to organize and he blocks it, I'll be the first one outside picketing. Along with my children who don't go to McDonald's or Walmart, they will be saying no ECS. But that has not been my experience with the school. I do have a couple of complaints I'd like to register in my last 14 seconds. My daughter will not let the water run while she's brushing her teeth, and sometimes I don't have time to turn it off. I cannot now throw things away on the third floor without having to recycle them into separate bins. I find that annoying. And so there's all kinds of problems with the charter school, but I love it. Thank you.
Casimir Pellegrini.
Good afternoon. I'm not.
I know.
I know. You couldn't be here, so I'm taking it up. I'm winging it. I'm doing a Sarah Palin. I've written on my hand what I have to say.
Okay,
so I don't know how this is going to come out.
If you're not registered to speak, could I go through the registered speakers first, please?
Okay.
Unless you have something written from her.
Okay, well, I know what she wants to say.
Okay.
She wants to talk about the positive impact on the environment, so can I go ahead and...
But she's not here, right?
No.
He.
Do I need to have a piece of paper from her, like with her input?
If it was
officially?
something from...
Yeah, that's what we were wondering. So I'll just write to you.
We'll get you later.
Okay, well, I'll come back in a minute at the end.
Okay. Okay, Candy Vasquez.
Candy Vasquez, 525 East End Avenue. Thank you so much for letting us come down. I have three things about me and my family. that are relevant to this petition. One, I'm a City of Pittsburgh resident and have been for more than 40 years. I grew up in Councilman Krause's district, where my father was born and continues to live, in spite of us buying him more homes to move out, and he will not leave Oakland. So we're a Pittsburgh family. I'm a parent of a child who has been at ECS for the last 3 years, and I can't begin to tell you the tears I will shed if I talk about his successes. And I live 3 blocks from the proposed school, so I'm also a neighbor. And I think that as a parent, it's really important to me that this happens, but I think the impact on my family is more significant as a neighbor because I've lived there for 11 years, and I've made some really tough choices to stay in that neighborhood, one of which is spend a tremendous amount of money on private school because up until ECS, the City of Pittsburgh did not provide a viable option for my son. My son has Down syndrome and has been fully included since the age of 2, and when it was time for school, PPS did not offer him an equivalent accommodation. I stayed in spite of being encouraged by many family members to move out and put that money into a house in the suburbs. I'm a city girl and I'm going nowhere. But as a city resident, I think it's really important that we don't allow this gem of an asset to leave the city. It is such an asset, and I think for the following reasons. It's an outstanding educational opportunity for residents. I don't need to tell you any more about that. Our schools speak for it, and you can come into our school at any time and tour it and see what's going on. It has played an incredible role in keeping my family, my husband and I, in the city. Neither one of us have been able to find full-time employment in our field. My husband commuted from our neighborhood in East End Avenue to Pitt Bradford for the first 2 years of Colton going to ECS because we didn't want to pull him from ECS. We continue to stay here in spite of it not being. My husband is a professor, and it would make a whole lot more sense if we went somewhere else, and we are not willing to leave because of that. All of the green initiatives the city is making, please embrace our school, partner with us. What a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Our school has shown that they're committed to the community. We don't have a PTA, we don't have a PTO, we have a PCO, which is a parent community organization. And we have many community members who do not have any student or vested interest in our school who sit on our board of directors. As well as, it's a very diverse school. We have diversity in many ways. As I said, my son has a disability, and charter schools in general don't have a good record of supporting kids with disabilities. This charter school is doing unbelievable. He made 2.5 years reading games in a very thank you.
Francisco Escalante.
Hi, I'm Fran Escalante. I live in 907 North Negley in Councilman Dowd's district and a proud resident of your district. I have 2 boys that attend the school. And I wanted to actually tell you just a really brief story. My wife and I were having dinner with our boys after the date of the Planning Commission hearing. We were explaining to my older boy, who was in 2nd grade at the charter school, a little bit about what was going on and about the importance of the hearing, about the importance of public process, about the importance of every resident having a chance to have their voices heard on issues that are important to them. And after I kind of explained that all to Elliot, he said, well, you know, I think we're just going to have to be good neighbors then. This is a boy who I think really understood what the school is trying to emphasize in terms of character development, which is understanding that the school is part of a neighborhood and that it's important to be a good citizen and to be an understanding neighbor. I just, you know, every day I'm amazed when I come home and I see them growing into responsible young adults, and it's because of what the school is doing, and it's because of the school leading by example, by deciding that it's going to be a good neighbor, by deciding that it's going to listen to the concerns of the neighbors immediately around the Park Place School. It's going to adapt its plans in order to minimize the impacts on the neighbors. And I think that that is something that has come through, and I think that that's something that's been consistent with, you know, with their motives and consistent with their mission to always emphasize character and to always lead by example. So I'm really proud that my kids go to this school. And for that reason, I mean, I strongly encourage that the City Council approve this request. Thanks.
Alex Hershey.
My name is Alex Hershey. I am the parent representative of the Board of Trustees at the school, and I sent an email to my Councilman Cabuto earlier today, and his staff tells me that this will be made part of the file. So I'll keep my remarks summary in nature. And the main point I think that should be emphasized that hasn't been covered by others is that ECS is a piece of what is good about Pittsburgh. Not just what's good about ECS, but what's good about Pittsburgh and why the city is as good as it is, why you should be proud to be the stewards of the city, and why we should all feel good about living in this city. I am a double boomerang, somebody who left Pittsburgh and came back from Washington, D.C. after 7 years, and I am a person who grew up and spent the first 4 years of my life about 4 blocks from the current building in Regent Square. My parents moved to the suburbs, but we always had a heavy connection with the city, and I've spent most of my adult life, except for that piece in Washington, D.C., living in Point Breeze. Ultimately, this city has a vitality and a diversity and an emphasis on its own community and its rejuvenation that is encapsulated in ECS. We've taken neighborhoods and parks and waterways that were once enmeshed with the city's industrial past, and as a city and as a school, we've taken those, we've pulled them up, and we've moved forward with what we are from here and into the future as sort of a rejuvenating green environment. And that's what ECS represents to the city. It also represents to the educational choices in the city and in the Pittsburgh public school system an option among many good ones. There are good magnet schools, there are good neighborhood schools. This is one particular good charter school. And the complete panoply of Pittsburgh's public school system needs all those options. And this school needs this building. As has been emphasized, it is a K-8 school. The current building is not large enough to house all of these grades. We've come up with a good plan. The board has worked very hard on it, and we are going to build 2 campuses, and this good school, which I feel is very good for the city and has caused me to boomerang twice, is going to continue to serve the community. And we see through the planning process that we've met all the technical requirements. We've engaged the community. There is virtually no resistance, although all voices need to be heard, and there seems to me to be no reason but to move forward with this plan. Thank you.
Josh, now.
Hi, my name is Josh Nara, and I live at 6759 Forest Glen Road in Pittsburgh. I first came to Pittsburgh 20 years ago to go to Carnegie Mellon University, and as the university likes to remind people, I'm one of the stories that we in Pittsburgh try to tell a lot, which is that I stayed here, started a company, married, and now can't leave, because I love it. And I'm speaking in support of the ECS expansion plan. I have 2 kids who attend ECS in kindergarten and 3rd grade. And I feel very represented by a lot of the comments that other people have made about the experience of my children at the school, and as a parent, how proud I am to have my kids there. What I'd really like to talk about is how schools like ECS are an incredible asset to our community, not just in a cultural sense, not just in an educational sense, but as a recruiting tool. Our company, I'm blessed enough that my company is growing fast, and we have to recruit a lot of people, frequently from the West Coast and from other cities on the East Coast. And to do that effectively, we need to show off the city. And our city has wonderful stories that can be told about it. We take people, every recruit goes out on a ducky tour. We show them all the architecture. We bring them to Permane Brothers. We do all the things that, give Pittsburgh a bit of style and substance. But the question that is always asked, and it's frequently by either the person they're hiring or their spouse, is what about the schools? And when I tell my experience of sending my kids to ECS and the fact that they're out in the park on a regular basis, that they're doing character-based education and all the other things that you've heard about already, people's eyes light up, that Pittsburgh could be a place that is progressive enough to have schools like this. And as somebody just previously said, it's not necessarily that ECS is the only choice, but we have a great choice of schools, and we need to make sure that we're supporting the expansion of those schools as more and more people want to attend them. I also very quickly want to talk, I am an employer here in town with my company, my software company, but I also serve on a national basis on President Obama's
Council of Advisors on Science and Technology in a working group capacity. And the importance of science-based education in this country is being realized. And what is most fabulous about the asset that we have here at ECS, and I don't even know if parents that are here realize this, when I'm out talking to agency heads of the EPA and at other environmental agencies, I almost invariably, when they find out I'm from Pittsburgh, the first question isn't that they ask me about the Steelers, they ask me about the environmental charter school and how is it going. People are aware of what's happening here. This is a model for what's going on a national basis, and we need to make sure that we as a city are supporting that and not trying to constrict it in some way. So final comment, just to please urge you, for all the different reasons you've heard today, please vote in support of this. It's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy Constantine?
Good afternoon, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you today about the charter school. My name is Amy Constantine. I live at 1017 LeClaire Street in Pittsburgh, and that's zip code 15218. I'm here to talk to you today on 4 fronts: as a city resident, as a parent, as a member of the Board of Trustees of ECS, and as a public servant. I urge you to pass the resolution before you that approves the conditional use application for the Park Place School building. First, I've lived in the city for almost 20 years, and I've been a Pittsburgh homeowner for 13 of those years. I live a block and a half, or about 500 steps away, from the environmental charter school, and have always considered the school to be a good and responsible neighbor. Second, as the parent of a 3rd grader, the trip to and from ECS is one I make often. I've had ample opportunity to observe firsthand the progress that we as a school community have made toward establishing a traffic and parking plan that is acceptable to the neighborhood, and I'm confident, as was the city planning department, that we will achieve the same success with Park Place neighbors. Third, I speak to you as the Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees. In this capacity, I can assure this body that the school has very carefully considered the purchase and the use of Park Place School building. The Board has honored its fiduciary duties in the expansion process, having invested countless hours on diligent and thorough planning that encompasses all stakeholders in the Park Place neighborhood. The existence of a waiting list of over 100 children is clear evidence of the community's desire and the school's need for expansion. The fact that the proposed expansion is to occur in a building that historically functioned as a school is sensible and appropriate for the neighborhood. Fourth and finally, as an assistant DA in our city and county, I submit that ECS is a valuable asset. The school encourages critical thinking and personal responsibility in its student body, and I believe that those qualities can only benefit all of society and our region in particular. I believe that fostering the school's growth and therefore its amplified influence on children is in the city's interest. I respectfully submit that passing the resolution that approves the conditional use application under review today will be a step forward for the city of Pittsburgh and the ECS community. As a city resident, as a parent, as a member of the Board of Trustees, and as a public servant, I strongly urge this council to approve it. Thank you for your time and consideration.
David Schulenberg.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is David Schoenberg. I reside at 3614 Colby Street. That's in the Summer Hill neighborhood of the city. I'm a 911 officer and also the vice president of the Summer Hill Citizens Committee. As a Northside public safety advocate and an environmental steward, I understand your job is not only focused on the ideals of the project, but also on the impact of such on the neighbors, and assuring that the applicant properly communicated with and worked with the neighbors. Ladies and gentlemen, this project meets all three targets. The last 2 times I visited you in council, it was exactly for the last 2 reasons: to decry the lack of communication by a commercial corporation who steamrolled into Summerhill, and a suburban resident who wanted to expand his holdings of Section 8 housing. Instead, I'm here to bear witness that this organization has been a role model in how applicants on any project need to interact with its neighbors. In the 2 years my child has attended this amazing school, I've had the opportunity firsthand to be close partners with the administration of the school in addressing safety and transportation issues. During that process, I witnessed their attempts at being the best neighbors that they could, anything a neighborhood organization asks for.
They have gone out of their way to fully communicate with the residents and address as many issues brought up by them as possible. I can truly say, had the 2 commercial applicants I mentioned earlier put in half the effort ECS had, there would not have been such an outcry by Summerhill residents on those projects. Let's just remember, ECS is not here to build a new project. They're not even asking for a variance. They're here to ask to be allowed to stay true to 2 of 3 components of environmentalism, which is to recycle and reuse. In this case, a building originally built to be a schoolhouse. I'd like to make one final comment. I have 2 children, a son who attends ECS already, and a daughter who will join him next September. My son, 7, I've been blessed to see through him how ECS is able to deliver a high-quality, progressive education, and this at 80% of the funding that public schools get. And for the record, I am by no means affluent, like one of the persons mentioned. My son had asked to participate here today. Being 7, it was hard to say no. He participates with me in environmental cleanups in April and in October. He even went so far as to record a Facebook video for all of our friends to see, to ask them to communicate with you to support this project. All I'm asking, and all we're asking, is that in the next couple of weeks that you guys support 1262, so that they can continue to deliver such a successful curriculum to more and more city residents. Thank you.
Next speaker, Michael Solokovic. Okay. They have Michael down here. It's Michelle?
Yeah, it was Michael. His wife was going to speak on his behalf, but she had to leave.
Okay. Betsy Fitzpatrick?
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Betsy Fitzpatrick. I'm a proud City of Pittsburgh resident living at 914 Milton Street, 15218. My nieces attend ECS, and I live across the street from the school, the current school, so ECS is my neighbor. As well, I work from home, so I have the unique perspective of witnessing the school's operations throughout the day when I'm home. To me, a good neighbor is someone who enhances the experience of living where I do, and I can say without question, ECS does this in myriad ways. My first experience with the school was when it opened and there were parking concerns on my street. Principal McCann openly heard his neighbors' concerns and stood on the corner, in a bright orange vest, I might add, directing cars and troubleshooting until he came up with a solution that has been seamless ever since. To me, that's a great neighbor. ECS is an exceptional steward of Frick Park. If you remember the condition of Frick in the 80s before the Conservancy came along, you can imagine the feeling now of running into classrooms on the trails, studying worms, frogs, and tree bark. Teaching our kids to be stewards of our parks is a good thing for my neighborhood and a great thing for this city. As well, I have never seen so much as a gum wrapper in the park, on the school property, or on mine. To me, that is a great neighbor. Thanks to ECS, my traffic experience is vastly improved, at least during drop-off and dismissal, the only time I can turn left onto Braddock thanks to the crossing guard. As well, when the school is letting out, I don't have cars coming off of Braddock and ripping down my street for the shortcut to the parkway. ECS solves my traffic and safety concerns, and to me, that's a great neighbor. In a recent standardized test, U.S. kids scored 17th, 23rd, and 32nd in reading, science, and math. China was #1 in all 3 in spite of never having taken the test before. Even if that's sadly good enough for the rest of the country, how is that possibly good enough for Pittsburgh? The city of champions, the most livable, as of this morning, the most literate, most affordable, top 5 to raise a baby, and I could go on as you know. We didn't transform ourselves from an industrial ghost town to a thriving green metropolis by letting logistics drive our development decisions. We don't discourage companies from expanding downtown because of the rush hour load. We didn't build a world-class children's hospital the size of Rhode Island on a 2-lane street in Bloomfield without some community adjustments. So why would we ask this school, one that excels, for any reason, not to expand? On Saturday, the Steelers didn't hesitate to bet their entire season on a 22-year-old kid. They sent a rookie 60 yards down the field, not to just catch a pass, but to save the season. And here's the thing, he did it. Big Ben said afterwards, and I quote, "I saw him even, and I knew if he's even, he's leaving." We're number 23 in science. Isn't it time we started to give our kids a chance to be even, and so that they can do something great too? That's exactly what ECS does, and for that we should all be standing and cheering and waving them on, just like we did for the young Antonio Brown on Saturday. Go Steelers, go Pens, and go ECS.
Jim Genstein.
Jim Genstein, 1010 Western Avenue, Pittsburgh 15233. That's a hard act to follow, so I'm not even going to try. I want to thank the members of council for taking all the time to listen to all these impassioned parents and members of the ECS community. As you may know, and the state chartering process for getting a charter is a difficult thing to negotiate, and in the case of ECS, it really stands out very differently than anybody else, because in 2008, when they were granted their charter, they were actually granted the charter by the Pittsburgh Public School District. So I really applaud the school district for realizing that they weren't going to be able to deliver this type of education and allowing the charter school to go forward without having to go through the appeal process. And because the school has flourished and done so well, now having 380 kids, and by my count, actually 250 kids on a waiting list, in order for them to continue aging these kids from 5th grade through 8th grade, you know, their only option is to expand, which was always the plan from the beginning when the charter was granted. So your vote here is critical, because without your vote on this conditional use, those kids are not going to be able to age. And one of the things that hasn't been brought up here today, and I'm going to do it, is that the kids that are attending ECS, those 380 students, are from every area of the city of Pittsburgh in every one of your districts. It's not just because the school is going to open up and be in Reverend Burgess's district, and that a large number of the kids are in Councilman Peduto's district today. There are kids on a map that I saw from everywhere, all over, from the north side, from Mount Washington, and it's really an amazing thing because of the education that they're giving, and the theme of the education is drawing people to want to be there. And I urge you to vote, when you vote next Wednesday, in your capacity as judicial approval and oversight, to find that, yes, the Planning Commission did, in fact, present their unanimous approval in accordance with the Planning Department, that the conditional use application that we have made was presented properly, was gone through the process properly, and meets the standards that we're asking you to vote for. So whether you're interested in charter schools or not interested in charter schools, I remind you to please look at the process that we've gone through. We spent 2 years before we landed on this location looking at other options, and we found this to be the best, and we waited to do this properly and to do it now. And we are at the goal line, and we need you to help us get over that next Wednesday and then the following Tuesday. Thank you.
Constantine Samaras. No? Okay, we have just exhausted our list of registered speakers. Now, if there is anyone else that would like to address council, you'll have 1 minute to speak. Please form a line, and each one, please give your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Lee Halverson. I live at 419 South Braddock Avenue, which is about 500 feet from the proposed building. I wasn't planning on speaking today, but I did want to make a few comments in regards to Ms. Rabinowitz's comments about diversity at the school. I'm the secretary of the board, but I am also the chairwoman of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee of the board, and I wanted to make the council aware of some of our efforts. 1 year ago, we began a diversity and inclusion analysis. We retained the services of 3RC, which is a local data analysis nonprofit. The analysis they conducted for us was of our current student population in comparison by zip code to the city of Pittsburgh demographics, the East End neighborhood demographics, what we would consider border schools or schools in the Pittsburgh Public School District that are close to other districts, as well as other charter schools. We did this analysis based on gender, race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status. The results of that report allowed us to develop a series of strategies and annual benchmarks for not only our student admissions, but also for our faculty recruitment and retention, and I'm more than happy to distribute that analysis to council and to Ms. Rabinowitz. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Kristen Brugance, 32 Wenzel Place, Beachview, and I also wasn't planning on speaking today, but I wanted to echo some of what Mr. Genstein said. We've addressed several of you as our council members today, which shows how far the ECS branches really do reach. Ms. Rudiak, you're my council representative, and I know that you're invested heavily in the revitalization of the southern communities, as many of you are in your own communities. If you listen to everything that we said today, you can understand that this space will allow us to continue to encourage Pittsburgh leaders that will go back into your districts and continue your visions and your missions that you've set up, that you've taken from your predecessors. We just need more space to do it is really the issue. We're working hard to grow thinkers, problem solvers, and leaders, and these children are a critical part of the success and growth of a Pittsburgh that we can continue to love and support, a Pittsburgh that will be one unified city that sets the example for other cities at the international level. And as the vice principal of the school, I'm not only proud and honored and blessed to be a part of such a great student community, but I stand with such amazing parent support behind us, and that is unlike any other school that I've ever been a part of in all of my years of teaching. So thank you for your time today, and we look forward to your decision next week.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My name is Molly Bennett. I live at 631 South Braddock Avenue in Ricky Burgess's district. I'm a parent, a neighbor, but I want to speak today as a representative of the parent community organization. I'm on the executive committee there, and our organization is dedicated to working with the neighborhood and figuring out how we as parents can be a valuable asset to their community and help them in things that they need. We've started a pilot program, sort of a walking school bus type thing, where I've invited people who are driving their kids to school to drop their kids off at my home, and we walk to school, which helps with the mission of the school, which also helps cut down on traffic in the neighborhood, which is our goal as an environmental school. So I just want you to know that the parents are as dedicated to this and the community as well. So thank you.
Next speaker, please. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak before council?
If we don't have anyone further, I'd just like to say thank you for your time and your patience in listening to all of it, and we appreciate it very much and look forward to your support and approval. Thank you.
Okay, and as far as council, I just want to refer to the handout regarding the conditional use that we have. We're a quasi-judicial group here today. And if there is anything that each council member would like to say, Councilman Shields.
Yes. This is a continuation of the story that's going on for quite some time that started in my council district in Regent Square. And I want to thank all the parties there that worked hard to get a resolution and certainly the engagement which produced this result. And initially I heard comment that was not so approving as we heard today, but it also, the fact that we don't have opposition speakers here is a testimony to both the school and the community and the ability to work it out. And I would also like to recognize and thank Councilman Burgess's office for convening a community meeting toward that end. This is what's supposed to happen when good things move forward, and if there are issues, they're dealt with. Whether it's a school or an office building or what have you, this is the process, and very pleased to be part of it. And also, one thing that we've all learned here on council is if you don't come to a decision, we will. So I'm very, very pleased to see, it's like, hey, work it out or else we will. Believe me, this council is a very good council, very tuned in to the needs of the community as well in a holistic way. And I think I want to thank everybody involved, whether it's from the Regent Square community or the Park Place community or Point Breeze and so forth, the surrounding area to do that. And also I want to recognize and thank ECS that has, I know, put a lot of time and money and energy into engaging with the community to get to a good solution. And by the testimony here today, it seems that we have arrived at that. And so thank you. You all owe yourself a round of applause for your all collective and individual efforts to get to the good decision. And this is probably what good citizenship is all about. Because if you're going to give over everything to your elected representatives and figure that, well, we hired them, let them sort it out, I can assure you that you will not get to the answer you hope for without your engagement. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Councilwoman Rudy?
Again, thank you all for coming out here today. I think it's funny, many of the folks who spoke, I've met you in some capacity throughout the years, and I think that's just sort of indicative of the 2 degrees separation we have here in Pittsburgh. I also like to thank my colleagues for organizing the community here, and I echo everything that Councilman Shields says, so I look forward to continuing this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Kraus?
Sure. I'll chime in. This is always sort of the favorite part of the job that I get to do here, and that's when we see engaged and articulate and hardworking people take the time to be involved in their government. It is government by the people, and we simply sit here as your voice. And it, for me, is always an honor and a pleasure to sit here and listen to you come out and be engaged and speak your mind and let us know what it is that you're thinking and the direction that you would like the city to go. This is the easy part of the job, getting to be here and listen to you. And so I thank you for being engaged and for being involved and taking time out of your day. Clearly you have busy schedules and busy lives too, but clearly the issue is of significance and importance to you, to the point that you would take time out of your day to come here and let us know exactly what it is you're thinking. So I thank you for that. I do believe we vote this on Wednesday. Is that correct? It is on the agenda for this coming Wednesday, and as has been explained, we sit here as a quasi-judicial board, and so we cannot offer up today what our opinion is without jeopardizing what our vote would be. And so in light of that, I'll cease my comments, only just to say again, thank you so much for being engaged and for being here, and I'll pass off the mic to Councilman Padula.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Mr. Krause. Man, I wish this wasn't a conditional use application, because I'd really like to tell you what I think, but I can't. So, first off, thanks. I mean, it's great to see a packed room for something that is good. Usually when people pack in here, it's to tell us how angry they are about something we're about to do. It's very seldom when people come here and say, this is the reason that I live in the city, this is what makes city living great, this is what I really care about, and it's unique, and I just want to take a moment to say thank you. It is very much appreciated. Also, to follow up with Mr. Shields said, I also recall the trailer and the expansion plans and everything else that was going on a few years ago, and that would have been rather contentious in this room today. And instead of pursuing and demanding and pushing, you said, let's find a workable solution to this and work with the community. And I think that if you send your children to this school in order to make them better citizens, you're leading by example, and you can go home and tell them they should be proud of mom and dad today, because you've certainly set that in motion. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up Phil Park, an old buddy of mine who had a lifetime in public education, who was really pushing for this back in the day. He enlisted my help to help lobby at that time, and he was my neighbor as well. I miss him. He went on to pursue some other options, but I think he'd be very proud of what you've done and how you've carried this ball forward. I had the opportunity to visit the school and to be a part with the parents and the teachers and to see the kids perform quite well and then go into the different classrooms. And I know that the mission is something that enhances Pittsburgh, and since so many of you do live in my council district, I know that that is a reason that you do stay in this part of town and in this city when you could choose to live in other places. I'll leave it with just one brief story, since I can't say what I really want to say. Everyone's aware of Shenley Park and the history behind it, and the young Mary Shenley who was on a steamer to go live with her British officer, older gentleman, and behind her on a steamer was a guy named Edward Bigelow, who was the public works director of the city of Pittsburgh. And developers were looking at Mary Shenley's family's estate to turn it into housing and development, and Edward Bigelow was a city leader who was chasing behind her to say, hey, before you make that deal, wouldn't it be great if we actually had that as a park? Unfortunately, he was on a steamer that was a little bit faster than those developers, and today we have Shenley Park, and Mary Shenley's great contribution. But just like the young Mary Shenley, there was the young Helen Clay Frick. And the young Miss Frick, as the story goes, I don't know if it's true, but I tell it all the time, had for her debutante birthday a very big party planned for her in New York, where her dad was throwing, and he invited the Rockefellers and everyone else, and her big coming out party was to be the to-do in New York. And the young debutante, who really didn't like that type of stuff, got back on a train and came back to Pittsburgh. But her dad said to her that she could have anything in the world that she wanted as her special birthday gift. And she waited for him to come back from New York, obviously upset, and wondered if that offer still stood. And the young Miss Frick used to ride her pony in the land that was beside her home, and that's what we call Frick Park today. And so her gift that she asked for her dad was that if her dad would give that part of the land so that all the children in Pittsburgh would have the opportunity to share in it. So isn't it great that today there's a school there where the children get to live in that legacy and continue it in much of the way that Helen Clay Frick looked at it. So just wanted to share that. Hope it's true.
Okay, and I would just like to thank all the caring parents that are here today, all the teachers, administrators, and community leaders for spending your time to let us know what you think. And it's nice to not have opposition in the room. But as you know, we can't speak today on the matter. But on Wednesday will be a standing committee meeting, and that's when we'll sit around the table and discuss this. So you're all welcome back to listen to us to discuss it, or watch us on television. So with that, also I want to let you know, whoever sent the video, I did watch it. There was someone that sent a video to me, and I was sitting, I was in the office last night trying to go through all my emails, and it was a very nice video that was put together, so thank you very much.
Madam President?
Yes, Councilman.
As a matter of watching television, you can all watch us on video streaming, thanks to our city clerk getting us modern around here. And you can also dial it up and watch it on demand if you want to share some things with your friends. I know that's, who wants to do that? But we're open for business, and it's your government, so if you do want to share this event, you just go to the city website. You can replay the hearing or whatever, or you can show your friends what you did. There you go.
Okay, and that concludes all the business. Before this public hearing, again, this bill will be on Wednesday's agenda at 10 a.m., a standing committee meeting. And now I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved. So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
Gonna settle down by the railroad track, live the life of Riley and the people down shack. So when I hear a whistle, I can peep through the crack and watch the train a-rolling when it's calling a jack. For I just love the rhythm of the clickety-clack. So take me right back to the track, Jack. Choo-choo, choo-choo, chiboogie, woo-woo, woo-woo, chiboogie, choo-choo, choo-choo, chiboogie. Take me right back to the track, Jack. bop. Hey, bop-a-ree 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 bop. Yes, your baby knows. Said the little red rooster to the little red hen. You ain't been home since Lord knows when. Hey, bop-a-ree bop. 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 Yes, your baby knows. Oh, ashes to ashes and dust to dust. If you don't like my peaches, don't shake my tree. Oh, bop-a-ree bop. Oh, bop-a-ree bop. Oh, bop-a-ree bop. Oh, bop-a-ree bop. Hey, bop-a-ree bop. Hey, bop-a-ree bop. Yes, your baby knows. Now mama's in the kitchen, papa's on the bed, baby's in the ooh, bop-a-ree bop. Ooh, bop-a-ree bop. Hey, bop-a-ree bop. Hey, bop-a-ree bop. Hey, bop-a-ree bop. Hey, bop-a-ree bop. Yes, your baby knows,
fine. You always get the other kind. Just when you think that he's your pal, you look for him, find him fooling around some other gal. Then you rave, yes you rave, to see that cat lying over there in his grave. So if your man is nice, take my advice. Hug him in the morning, kiss him every night, give him plenty loving, yes, treat him right. 'Cause a good man nowadays is hard to find, exceedingly hard to find. Said we're going out to find one now. Yeah.
I would work for you, I'd slave for you, I'd be a beggar or a knave for you. If that ain't love, it'll have to do until the real thing comes along. I'd gladly move the earth for you to prove my love, dear, and its worth for you. If that ain't love, it'll have to do until the real thing comes along. With all the words, dear, at my command, I just can't make you understand. I'll always love you, darling, come what may. My heart is yours, what more can I say? I'd beg for you, I'd lie for you, I'd draw the stars down from the sky for you. If that ain't love, it'll have to do until the real thing comes along. With all the words, dear, at my command, I just can't make you understand. I'll always love you, darling, come what may. My heart is yours, what more can I say? I would rob, steal, beg, borrow, and I'd lie for you. I'd draw the stars down from the sky for you.